This is a picture of me and my wife recently at the Mad Hatter's Gin and Tea Party in Atlanta. So basically, you just like go into this little it's called Underground Atlanta. It's a bunch of like shops underground, stuff like that, and they kind of ferry you back into this room, and then it's a Alice in Wonderland themed party where the actors jump up on the table and start saying a bunch of stupid shit. It's like all improv acting. Start fucking around with people in the crowd and having them do little tasks, and then asking them questions, and then they like bring back pieces of the story later, like shit that you said, as somebody in the crowd, like they'll like reference it later in the story and start fucking with you about it, stuff like that. So, this is a picture of me and my wife just like at that event. It was really fucking cool. And, the thing about these kind of things is that, like you should be planning really fun, cool adventures. Here, let's get the picture of my wife. She's much hotter than me. You should be planning this kind of shit a lot. Like whatever you plan as a single guy, theoretically, you never let this kind of stuff go. Like you should always be now, depending on if you have kids and for example, like I've got every other week custody of my kids and stuff like that. So typically, my wife and I go out like every other week instead of like weekly or whatever. So everybody's got a different situation. But the point is, like as a single guy, you ought to be planning. Hey, let's go out to dinner and let's do something fun afterwards, right? And then like part three is like, hey, let's go back to the bedroom, right? That's ideally the way your date planning should go. But as a single guy, you have to do that, right? If you want to meet women and have a good time and, of course, ultimately hook up, right? But you never let that go. So you end up, locking yourself down with a particular girl. You never let that discipline of date planning go. And so I'll give you a few tips for planning good dates, okay? The first thing is if you want to have a really good restaurant, if you want to pick like a fail-safe restaurant, what you do is get on Yelp. Okay, and then you can sort by most reviewed. I don't sort by most stars or anything like that. It's always most reviewed. Okay, the best places are like the most reviewed ones. So sort by that. Anything on the first couple of pages is usually going to be pretty fucking awesome, right? So that's your restaurant option. And then your after activity, you can use Facebook events. I use the Fever app to find the Mad Hatter's Gin and Tea Party that we went to this particular night. And you can, you just want to get creative about the kind of shit that you go to, right, guys? Like, there's some options that most people know about, like axe throwing's great. Rooftop bars are really, really cool right now. There's lots of cool shit that you guys can do. But typically, like Facebook events or like the Fever app, Fever's not everywhere, by the way, but you can use those options to help you plan really cool dates. But the idea here is never let that discipline go. Always be planning adventures for you and your chick.